These are
what we think are the 3 most underrated
places to live
in the Venice, Florida area.
Number 1 is Englewood. Englewood is just south of Venice, and it's a small, quaint little community.
And I think Englewood often gets overlooked for a few reasons. Either 1, people don't know about it, or 2, they went to it and they maybe decided it wasn't for them, maybe a little prematurely,
Yes.
I think. I don't know.
I would have to agree with that. And I think that's because Englewood is a little bit older and it's got that old Florida feel, but it is a very charming little town.
Yeah, I think we've said this in so many videos now, but I'm gonna say it again. It grows on you. The more you go there, the more you will like it. And there's some of my favorite restaurants in the area are there. One we went to the other day, Texas Best Barbecue, is probably the best barbecue place I've ever been to. It's
really good.
So good.
Yeah, their mac and cheese is delicious.
Yeah, and Mango Bistro on Dearborn Street, that's a really good restaurant. And you've got all the beachfront restaurants right across the beach, and Englewood Beach too, which is another perk to the area.
The downtown area too, it's very walkable. There usually is something going on the weekends. The farmers market is actually on Thursdays.
And the city as a whole has just got a nice kind of quiet feel to it. It feels a little bit rustic and slightly rural in pockets. And yeah, it's just definitely got like a Florida beach town feel. And it's a little less, busy and crazy like some of the other cities nearby. Like, Venice is starting to get a little busier. You go north to Sarasota, getting busier. You head even further north or south, like Fort Myers or Tampa area, and there's gonna be a little bit more traffic and congestion, and things just slow down here a little bit more, which I think is nice. And, it's not for everyone maybe. Some people maybe want more of that city feel, but if you don't, I think Englewood's a great option.
And Englewood offers many different options for housing opportunities. They have villas, apartments, condos, and also mobile homes, which for a lot of people, especially if you're from like the Midwest, mobile homes have kind of like a negative connotation, and people, when they come to Englewood, they think that maybe Englewood, it could be dangerous because there's a lot of mobile homes,
or that the mobile homes is a rough area of town.
And really a lot of those mobile homes are 55 and older communities, meaning that you have to be at least 55 years old to own a mobile home in the mobile home parks. And those mobile home communities actually also have restrictions, and they do have an HOA that takes care of the exterior maintenance of the lots.
Yeah, and it's definitely much different than the mobile home communities maybe you've seen somewhere in the Midwest or anywhere else in the United States for that matter. It's a much different vibe, reason for people being there. And yeah, I don't think you can necessarily equate one, in the Midwest or anywhere else with what you get in Florida. So I know for some people, yeah, when they just see a mobile home, it's like a red flag or, a certain connotation that goes with it. And I don't think you can necessarily accurately at least put that connotation on the mobile home communities in Englewood or anywhere in Florida for that matter.
Yeah, because a lot of the people, again, 55 and older communities, a lot of those people are either snowbirds or retired, and especially if you're a snowbird, why would you want to have 2 houses that you have to spend money on? Why not make it a little bit more affordable, especially if your dream is to come to Florida during the winters, and make it more affordable by living here in a smaller home, a mobile home. Yeah,
or even if it's, just your primary residence, for that matter, and you want your retirement dollars to go further so you have, more money to go out and, shop, dine, whatever. It gives you a little more flexibility that way. But yeah, I think Englewood as a whole is just, a really, really nice town. It does have a little bit different look and feel than even, Venice right next door. But it's definitely got a lot of the same qualities that you would want out of a retirement city, especially if you like being on the water. Great for boating. There's golf courses. You've got the beaches. You can find prehistoric shark's teeth and seashells, all the downtown and shopping stuff we talked about. There's a lot to offer in Englewood, and I think the upside of it is it's more affordable as a whole than, let's say, just north of it in Venice. So I think for a lot of people, it's one that's not on their radar, and it should be.
The second one is Nokomis. A lot of people overlook Nokomis and they think that it's farther than it is from Venice.
Which is funny.
It's really not. It's really Nokomis. I feel like it's part of Venice just because they're so close together.
You go over a bridge and then you're in Nokomis.
Yes. And you do have different housing options here too. There is a lot more mobile homes which are not in 55 and older communities. meaning that anyone really could own a mobile home in Nokomis. But again, with that connotation that, you know, maybe it's a rough area or a rough side of town, or you don't want to be there. Again, it's a lot of snowbirds, a lot of retirees that live for the most part in those mobile homes.
Yeah, and it just depends. You know, there are pockets in Nokomis that are different than others, so it's not as uniform, I'd say, as like, you know, your mobile home communities in Englewood or something like that. It's a little bit more of a mixed bag as far as that goes. But then there's also a lot of really nice gated communities as well.
Yeah, for the homes that are not part of an HOA, though, for the mobile homes that are not part of an HOA. If you're part of an HOA, then it's like the same as Englewood. But if you're not on an HOA, then it's kind of it's like single family homes too. If you're not on an HOA, you can't really control what your neighbor does or doesn't.
Little more of a mixed bag, And then like there's a lot of really nice gated communities. There's some like right on the water, and I think for a lot of people, Nokomis kind of goes under the radar. One, because it kind of is part of Venice, so they don't even really think of it as a separate thing, and two, it is just a little bit smaller population wise than Venice. So for a lot of people, they don't even really know about it. But yeah, I mean, you could live in Nokomis, and for a lot of people in Nokomis, get to the downtown in Venice quicker than, let's say, someone on the far south end of Venice. So that should kind of show you how, you know, close to Venice and how much almost Venice it is or could be for you. And I think another thing with that is Nokomis doesn't really have an actual downtown. So I think, you know, for some people, they don't even think of it or consider it. But again, Venice downtown kind of is your downtown.
Yes. And also with Nokomis too, we have Casey Key, which there is mansions on Casey Key, but there's also a little more affordable housing. And by a little bit, I mean maybe a little less than $1 million. Waterfront, not on the key. So you have a lot of different options, as well as whether you want to be across from 41 or so farther from the water or closer to the water.
And while we're at it, we should probably just lump Laurel and Osprey into this as well. I think Osprey feels a little bit more like part of Sarasota, but Laurel definitely feels also kind of like it's part of Nokomis, and those are all just kind of north of Venice. But I think also one thing to point out with Nokomis that makes it great is Nokomis Beach, and like their jetty area is awesome, underrated. They have a nice boardwalk, so if you don't want to get, you know, sand on your feet, Englewood also has one of those as well, actually. And they're not as common. Like, you don't get that really in Venice unless you want to go on the fishing pier. I guess that's the closest thing to a boardwalk. And yeah, having the jetty and a couple smaller mom and pop restaurants, really good for finding prehistoric sharks' teeth and seashells. Nokomis Beach is great, I think. And, you know, if it wasn't a little bit of a further drive for us, I think we would probably go there a lot more often personally.
There's a lot more shade too. So if you don't have an umbrella, like you're on vacation or just don't want to carry your umbrella to the beach, they have a lot more shade than like Venice or Englewood. And
it's really interesting to me how different the vibe and like the culture and the atmosphere feels near the jetty on the North Jetty versus Venice's South Jetty. It does feel distinctly different, not just in appearance of the shade and the bushes, but just kind of the vibe of the people hanging out. Yeah. It feels a little younger.
Yes. Yeah, and I think a lot of Nokomis too, younger people live there, you know, the residents are maybe a little younger. But yeah, you can see that even during the boat parade last year when we went.
Yeah.
We went to the Venice side, and it was a little like more chill, and you could hear across from us on the Nokomis side, like people were just having a blast.
Yeah, it was a little more of a party scene going on there. Yeah, for sure.
Nokomis also has some great restaurants. Nokomis, which is on the water, it's a pretty cool spot to be. It's 2 stories high, and it's like a tiki hut. And a lot of people from the Casey Key side will actually come in their boats and hang out there, eat there, and it's a pretty cool spot to be. Cafe Evergreen, it's another one of our favorites too. It's more on the healthy side, but it's really good.
I want to say everything there is vegan. I'm not sure. And we're not vegan, but we just like to try different stuff, and we like really, really, really good food there.
There's also a Thai restaurant, which we haven't been to it yet, but I've heard really good things about it, and it's pretty close to Nokomis as well.
The third place that we think is highly underrated, and we've been talking about this on a channel for a while, and we're talking about how it's like the secret future of Venice. And it's weird because you've got Venice, Nokomis, Laurel, North Venice. You would think North Venice would be down here, but North Venice is an underrated area. It's also a little more inland, sort of. So that area is exciting because both this and Nokomis puts you a little bit closer to Sarasota. And North Venice is really unique because it's somewhat master plan feeling in the fact that there's a lot of new HOA type communities being built there. without all the amenities and bells and whistles of, like, say, Lakewood Ranch or Welland Park. But it's a really cool area because there's a lot of new construction options. Get something nice, new, more inland, but get a little bit quicker access to Sarasota, but still have really quick access to Nokomis and Venice and everything that they have to offer.
And for housing options, there is the master plan communities, but there's also homes that sit on scatter lots. So if you don't want to be, part of an HOA community, you do have that option as well. There is not much for sale though. I think people that live in North Venice in homes that are not in an HOA tend to stay because there isn't a lot for sale there. With the HOA communities too, there is a lot of different price points. Some of them are a little bit lower, some of them are a little higher. Toscana Isles, which is one of our favorite communities in North Venice, their HOA is actually pretty low for what you get. You get a fitness center, pool, you can actually kayak on their lakes. It puts you very close to downtown Venice and the new Sarasota Memorial Hospital as well.
And I think all of North Venice is exciting and interesting because of how close it puts you to 75 and the hospital, but 75 for the access to get north and south much more quickly as far as going to Sarasota, going down to Fort Myers or wherever else. And I think that's awesome to have that opportunity. And also there's a lot more development going on kind of south of that, just off of 75 by Jacaranda area with a whole bunch of new, fast food places and things like that going in. There's a new Starbucks that opened, an Arby's. I think a Taco Bell is coming now, and more of your like big chain type places, and they're more like the thin, narrow buildings that are built more for drive-through. But it's good to have a lot more stuff coming to the area that's nearby, so you don't have to drive all the way across town to get to different amenities.
There's also Black Gold Coffee Shop in North Venice, and there's a pizza shop too that I can't remember the name.
Oh yeah, we had it and it was really good. Yeah, that's one of the many. There's a lot of good pizza places in Venice.
Other communities in North Venice are Venice Woodlands, Aria, Talon Preserve, Magnolia Bay, which is a brand new community coming. And there's a lot more communities. So if you want to learn more about any of the communities in the area, make sure to call, text, or email our team, 941-221-1897.
Get a hold of us anytime, whether you're looking to move in the next few days or the next few months. We hear from people all the time and we love it, and we'll always have your back.
To stay up to date on all the new things coming to the area, make sure to subscribe.
And turn on all notifications and live breezy.